don't know. I've seen mock drafts where they take Kyle Pitts, but I feel like 4 is pretty high for him, even with the talent that he is.
Well, Kyle Pitts, I think, potentially could be the second best overall player in this draft. He is a phenomenal athlete, by far the best quarterback, and I think probably the best offensive threat in this draft. I just think there's more pressing needs for the future of Atlanta than
You think he's more of an offensive threat than Jamarr Chase?
without a doubt.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 21 of the Next On Deck podcast with your host, Dylan, and your co-host, Ryan. And we brought back Justin again this week. Well, I mean, we had to bring Justin back this week, obviously, because we're talking about the NFL draft. So,
I'm favorite for all the 12 viewers.
Justin, I love the enthusiasm, even if, 12 is stretching it, but even still, dude, I love it.
Shooting the shit, talking about football with you guys.
All right, let's do it. So I feel like the first thing I kind of want to go over is honestly the thing that I really know, like, I don't know what this team is going to do, but Justin, what do you think the 49ers are going to do with the 3rd overall pick? They're obviously going to pick a quarterback. I mean, that's very clear. But they have many options of what they could do at 3. So, what do you think they're going to do?
I think there's 2. I don't think Zach Wilson falls to them, even though he's going to be a bust.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I've heard Mac Jones is a big one, but if the 49ers, I think you go Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields just fits in that offense. I think he has a very solid potential to be the next Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he very well could be. He has a lot of potential. I think he has the most potential out of, like, the 3 quarterbacks that the 49ers could choose from, Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance. I think he does have the most potential out of the 3 of them. He's not the typical pocket passer that Shanahan is kind of used to, like he's coached before with Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan. But, he has very good accuracy. He's great in motion plays, which, the 49ers, it's all they do is motion plays. And Shanahan worked with him in high school. He knows a lot of the trainers that Fields worked with. So it would make sense for the head coach quarterback connection there. But I don't know. I've heard Fields draft stock is kind of, going down lately. I don't know why, though, because to be honest, I think he's the second best quarterback in this draft.
I agree with you. I think he has a very high ceiling. And if I'm the 49ers, I think Mac Jones is a very safe pick. I think quarterbacks that are going to go in the first round, he has the highest floor. I think at the very least he's going to be a fringe starter for whatever team. And but I really like Justin Fields. I think he could do a lot of great things in San Francisco. Yeah,
I think Justin Fields would be the smartest pick here. But it doesn't seem like the 49ers are actually going to take Justin Fields. So
no way they take Justin Fields. Mac Jones on the way. It doesn't fit the offensive scheme of Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has never taken a wet noodle of a throwing style like Justin Fields and made him a deep passer. Mac Jones has a natural arm.
You adjust to your players. You take the best players available and you adjust to them.
I can agree that Justin Fields is probably the better quarterback in the long run, but I don't think Kyle Shanahan can work off of that as well as he can work off a natural thrower. Like you said before, his best season was probably 2016 with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan came in there with a natural throwing ability. Mm-hmm. And that's what Mac Jones has that Kyle Shanahan can take. Plus, obviously, Ohio State quarterbacks have lost their draft value.
That is a good point. Ohio State quarterbacks have not been good in the NFL recently. But at the same time, even if you – I feel like Trey Lance is still over Mac Jones in this situation.
Trey Lance is such a boomer bust kind of high-risk, high-reward kid because he had played, one game in 2020?
Yeah. But,
so, he's just like – he's a really good quarterback.
But there's so many guys that are holding out in this draft that are still really good draft prospects.
Mac Jones is absolutely hands down the safest pick. I think he has a very high ceiling. I think he's a very good player coming out of a very well-structured college program.
Yeah.
I think regardless of who drafts him, he's going to come in and be potentially a starter. I think he just has that ability. but I think Justin Fields has potential to be a lot better than his ceiling.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Mac Jones is, like, he's definitely drawn comparisons to Kirk Cousins, which obviously Shanahan, he drafted Kirk Cousins. He tried to bring him to the 49ers before, so he obviously loves the play style of Kirk Cousins. And I think that's why the 49ers are so big on Mac Jones, because, he draws comparisons to Cousins. I mean, he's a winner in Alabama. He's still got great accuracy. And like you said, Justin, he is the safest pick here. And with the team they already have, besides the quarterback, like when you look at it, they have Raheem Mostert on offense. They got Deebo Samuel. And Kittle. They got solid offensive weapons. They got a great defense. They'll lose Richard Sherman. They'll lose Richard Sherman, but they still have a great team. They're still a contender. And they went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G.
Yeah. If they had a real quarterback, they probably would have won that Super Bowl.
That's true. If they did have a real quarterback. So maybe they think Mac Jones is the real quarterback here. I don't know, but in my opinion.
Like this, man, if you're drafting, you're drafting what could be just a Kirk Cousins. Would you take Kirk Cousins and put him on the 49ers? That's not a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
It's not. Well, it's hard. It's like I think it's difficult to say that because honestly, you don't have to have a superstar. If you have a quarterback that fits into the right system, and he can, he doesn't have to be like a Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. If he fits into that system, he can look like a Mahomes or a Deshaun Watson.
Like Ryan Tannehill.
Exactly. Ryan Tannehill on the Titans is a great example. Yeah. He's not a great quarterback, but he's still taken the Titans pretty far into the playoffs because of the system. So I think Mac Jones can thrive in this system, and obviously that's why the 49ers are looking at him. But I could see them taking Trey Lance because, again, Trey Lance has been compared to, many comparisons to Josh Allen, who the 49ers could have drafted and obviously passed up on, and, they probably regret it because, he's like a top 5 quarterback now. So they could learn their lesson from here. I don't know. Trey Lance, also went to a small school. He's lots of NFL potential. He's kind of the same build as Josh Allen, surprisingly, which I didn't think he was.
He's built a lot like Cam Newton. He's a very tall, very, very scary guy who loves to get out and run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I don't know if it's the best on deep passes, but I think he has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, though. Honestly, I don't think Shanahan wants a mobile quarterback.
Yeah. But I feel like the really good upside of Trey Lance is that North Dakota State or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That offense is such an NFL-based offense anyway. They do a lot of under center stuff, that kind of stuff. He's kind of got the feel of an NFL offense, whereas somebody like Justin Fields, obviously Ohio State's offense is not an NFL offense. They run a lot of deep threat kind of stuff, shotgun passes.
Right.
It's just a different feel, whereas Trey Lance has that ready. He's ready to go with that style.
That's true. And, Carson Wentz, I wouldn't consider him a bust because, he's had the worst offensive lines. He's just been in the worst situations, and he's still done decent. So I think, teams can, kind of learn from that situation and realize that, the 49ers, they already have a good offensive line. They have a good offense. So, look, I apologize. I've been sick the last couple of days. But anyway, the 49ers already have, a great basis of a team that they can build around. Ryan, you talk.
Team they can build around. ... Continue on, Justin.
Well, I do think the 49ers are a very good team if they find the right fit at quarterback. And I think it could be that. If I were going to bet money, I think they're going to go Mac Jones. I just think he's a very safe, very well-structured. He's very good with the basics. He can read defenses. He has a very quick release. I don't think people talk about enough. And I think he's going to have a very solid career. I just think that the risk for Justin Fields could have a very high upside.
Yeah, I agree. I think Justin Fields definitely has the higher upside out of the 3 quarterbacks. It's just I think he's the only one with a significant risk. I think he has the most significant risk of the three.
I just want to state it now to the public that Zach Wilson is a bust.
Zach Wilson took 2 BYU cheerleaders to his high school prom.
I was going to say, that's a major grade to show on, major shade to throw on Ryan after a couple episodes ago. He said that he was better than Trevor Lawrence.
You know he didn't bang any of them.
Hey man, them Mormons do some whack things with their docking and their.
Yeah, marry at 19. That's the wackest thing they do.
I don't know, dude. Justin, I think he probably did because those chicks are probably going to pull cases on him in the next couple of days.
Look,
Mormons are freaks, bro.
He didn't do much for his first 3 years in college, and
this is at BYU.
So, look, he had one phenomenal year. He didn't play. It was a very weird year, to say the least, and he didn't have the best competition. I think the strongest team he faced was a number 9 Coastal Carolina.
Well, team right there.
We'll see what happens. A lot of ego issues and a lot of character issues, and
that's true.
It's going to translate to the NFL. I think he was phenomenal in college, but I strongly feel he's going to be a bust once he translates to the NFL.
I think that's a good point, and because I'm not the biggest Zach Wilson fan either, but I still think the Jets should take him.
I think they're going to take him. I think it could be a mistake.
Yeah. I saw a highlight of Zach Wilson the other day, and he hurdled a guy and then trucked the guy in the air on the hurdle. And the last person I saw do that on the highlight in college was Saquon Barkley. So, yeah, Zach Wilson's the next Barkley.
Oh, okay.
I think Zach Wilson is the next Ryan Leaf.
Wait, hold on. Is that his NFL comparison, Saquon Barkley?
Saquon Barkley is Zach Wilson's NFL comparison.
Oh,
but Ryan Leaf was a dog.
He really was.
He went to prison.
Oh my God!
Shut up.
I'm sorry. I can't.
Take your fucking Ludens and shut the fuck up.
I have a Luden in my mouth. I have one in my mouth. This video is not sponsored by Ludens. I have one in my mouth right now. Looks like I'm just packing a fat hog right now. But I also got some water. I got some water over here too. I'm sorry. I'm just
the bobbleheads are disappointed in
you. Dude, they're not paying attention. They're watching the Phillies game.
Yeah, is that the one I broke?
Yes, this is the one you broke. That it's Mike Schmidt's head on Cal Ripken's body, because Ryan picked up the bobblehead from the legs, and somehow the legs came apart, and just the feet and the base of it, that's all that was there. They pulled off the rest of it.
Real sports.
What? Yeah, I know. We don't talk about baseball much on this podcast because it seems like I'm the only one that enjoys baseball. But all right, Justin. Obviously, there's always a lot of trades that happen in the NFL draft. But what teams do you see this year making the trades to trade up in the first round?
Well, first, I think it could be the Patriots. You never know, Belichick. He has a habit of trading down, so we'll see what happens. I'd really like for him to trade up. I don't know how this draft is going to fall. This is the most unpredictable draft I think I've seen in a while. I think the Raiders, I've heard they're thinking about trading up if Trey Lance or Justin Fields fall out of the top. Even the Vikings, I think you could see trade up. If it's at the right spot and they find the right trade, I think you could see them try and take a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields.
Yeah, I think that's totally possible. And, it amazes me because I feel like for the first time, one pick in the first round can change the entire draft, which in this situation, obviously the 49ers pick. Because there's so many teams that need quarterbacks right now that, if whoever the 49ers don't take, people can – I don't think they're going to take Justin Fields. And I think a lot of teams are willing to trade up for him. So if they don't take him, we're going to see a lot of teams trying to get up in the top 10. And I think one of them could be the Broncos.
I think big. The football team too.
The football team would be huge also because, their starting quarterback right now is Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, don't get me wrong, He's a dog. We love Ryan Fitzpatrick, but at the same time, he's on a 1-year deal. He's getting old. He's a good mentor, for somebody. And Tyler Heineke, or however you say his last name, he did well against the Bucs in the playoffs, but I don't think he's the long-term answer.
He had the best stats of any quarterback in the playoffs against the Bucs.
He did, but I don't know. It was one game. It was one game.
He's the guy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I think the Broncos could, because it seems, honestly, like, I know Drew Lock has only really played like a year and a half or 2 years. But he's
2 years.
He's not good. I mean, he threw 15 interceptions, 13 games last year. I mean, he's still young, so they could, give him a shot, but
they've talked about they want competition first. Like, they've said that. Like, they still feel like he's their quarterback as of now, but they also said they want competition. So I could definitely see them trading out their quarterback.
Yeah, and honestly, even if they trade up, they might not even pick a quarterback. I think Micah Parsons is also a huge, guy in this draft, because he could drop too after, being a lock top 10 pick, because, character issues and probably holding out helped or hurt him a little bit. I don't think it hurt him too much. But the Broncos have one of the worst rush defenses last year. Micah Parsons could be huge in, helping out with that part. He does struggle with solo tackles a little bit, but obviously, these things can be developed in the NFL. You don't see his kind of talent very often. And, Von Miller's getting pretty old. So he's not going to last forever on that Broncos defense.
Yeah, Mike Parsons is close to a true athlete as you can find. Stuff. He can focus on the game. He's going to be a big-time player in the NFL.
Yeah, and he really is. And if the Broncos do trade up for anybody, I think they trade up for Mac Jones. I think if the 49ers don't, if they take Trey Lance here, I think the Broncos make a push for Mac Jones, because he already has rapport with Jerry Jeudy, because they played at Alabama together. He's broken records at Alabama, and like you said again, he's the safe option. I'm not going to compare him to Peyton Manning, but I could see him having a similar kind of play style. And, they have a solid team. So I think the Broncos could make a push for him.
Another thing I don't think people talk about enough is that Mac Jones sat behind 2 Heisman contenders at Alabama, who are both now NFL starters.
Right. Yeah.
He's had a bunch of mentors in the best college football program of all time. It's very well structured. I think he's a lock pretty much. But I'd love to take a risk on Justin Fields.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, I think the Patriots, I've already heard talks about them trying to get in the top 10. I think they would definitely go after Justin Fields, if he does drop. Because, if the 49ers don't get him, then obviously, I don't think they're going to trade up. Because they could still get Mac Jones at 15.
Yeah.
So they could stay there. I think he fits in their system the best. It's weird to say that, like, Mac Jones is not one of the best quarterbacks, but it seems like he fits with most teams, like, out of all the quarterbacks.
Well, he's just a very safe pick.
Yeah.
Every team can play around a pocket passer. And if he were to fall to New England, I think that would be the best fit in the league. I just don't think he makes it that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another team that should trade up that we didn't mention is, the Bears.
The Bears are not going to make any good moves.
I know, because the last time they traded up for a quarterback, it was Mitchell Trubisky.
That's the MVP, so that was a good call.
They still didn't franchise tag him. I'm a little peeved about that. But, like, the Bears just, they have the worst luck with quarterbacks. It seems like they've never had a good quarterback ever. They have to have the best defense of all time just to win a Super Bowl, basically. Yeah. So I think the Bears need to make a push. Yeah. I think they do, because
you don't think Andy Dalton's the answer?
They think Andy Dalton's the answer. They've, like, paraded him around as, like, the starting quarterback already, and I don't know why, because he sucks. On the Cowboys, when he had a good offense, he had one of the best receiving corps in the league, a good running back, a solid defense, nothing. Couldn't do anything. Andy Dalton sucks. And the Bears are a lot worse offensively than the Cowboys.
I think the Titans should trade up for a pick.
What?
Yes. Now, hear me out. I know it sounds weird.
It is weird.
I think the Titans are absolutely Super Bowl contenders right now. They've got one or two more guys that can make them a team. And I think that they have, like, now that they've lost, Corey Davis and Waddle and Smith, they lost a good bit of offensive weapons realistically.
Yeah.
If they trade up and they get a big-time offensive weapon, they're a now team. They don't need a guy that they're going to develop into a good player because they're right now team.
Right.
So I think that's why they should think about moving up.
Well, who would they pick?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer as to who they need, but I think the idea of them moving up for a big-time offensive player is a smart one.
I agree. I could see them, if the Falcons don't pick Kyle Pitts,
Yeah.
I could see them get Kyle Pitts.
I could also see the Chargers trading up for Kyle Pitts. Now that Henry's gone.
They're not in the same position as the Titans, though. They're not in a winning.
They're not.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the Titans would be better off. But I can also see the Chargers trying to trade up for a big-time O-lineman to help Justin Herbert.
I don't know. I mean, they already got – oh, I missed that one. They already got Corey Lindsey over the offseason. Yeah. So they've already, like, kind of met that offensive line need. So I think they'll probably go defense, to be honest. Yeah. They already got a good receiving core, good running back in Eckler. So I just see them going defensively. I don't see them really trading up unless they're getting Parsons. Yeah.
I think it would be huge for him to get a receiver. I don't think that they'd necessarily need to trade up. I think this receiver class is pretty deep. But with the Chargers, I think O-line is a huge possibility. There's a lot of great O-line players. And, they could go just about anywhere. I think our receiver to match with Keenan Allen would be huge. But I'm not really sure what they're going to do at 13. 13?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're around there. Actually, leading into the next question, we got, where will the top three receivers go? I think one of them could drop to 13. I don't think the Chargers will take them because Mike Williams is solid. He's a second receiver. Keenan Allen, obviously, number one. Out of the three receivers, Jamarr Chase is obviously, the highest, and he'll probably go in the top 6 or so. I think if the Bengals don't take him, I think the Dolphins will.
Yeah.
Or I think the Dolphins should. I don't know if they will because they got Will Fuller this year, but he's only on a 1-year deal.
I think the Dolphins will take either the number 1 receiver or the number 2 receiver no matter what. If the Jamarr Chase drops, they'll take Chase, and if not, they'll take Waddle. That's how I see it.
I don't know. I don't see him taking Waddle.
I like Waddle with that team as I think Waddle would do well with Tua, obviously. And if you do a trio of Tua or Parker, Waddle, and Gesicki, I think that's a really good trio. Waddle has really good playmaking ability on that short throws. Tua doesn't have the greatest arm right now. He's yet to prove that.
Yeah.
I think he can make after catch plays.
Yeah, I did forget about the Waddle-Tua connection there, to be honest. But, Justin, where do you see Jamarr Chase going?
I would love to see him go to the Bengals. I'd love to see a Joe Burrow and him reunite. I don't think they do it. I think O-line's too big of a need. But I don't think that's Miami. He's just too much of a stud to pass up. Even with the Alabama connection, he's just an absolute dog.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I know. I agree with you. I think the Bengals have to go offensive line here. Just the amount of times Burrow was hit and, because, he did get injured and was out for the rest of the year. So, you can't have that happening to your, future franchise quarterback. So you got to protect him. And I think Sewell is, not even once in a generation, just I think he's going to be a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, and that's pretty hard to pass up. So I think the Bengals kind of have to take him because I think finding another receiver is going to be a lot easier than finding an offensive lineman. So they should take Sewell, but I've heard they're very big on Jamarr Chase, and it's hard not to be. He ran a 4.4 40-yard dash. He's great with the deep ball. He's got great size. He's athletic. Against the top defenses in the league, he only had one game under 100 yards. I know in college it's not as impressive because, I feel like they pass a little more.
He's playing in the hardest conference in college football on what was a national championship team. That's insane to do. He was almost the Heisman over Joe Burrow. It's insane.
Sure. It's true. And, it also was insane that, like, he held out last year and he's still, where he is now. So, that's just crazy to me. But I think the biggest wild card of the draft, one of the receivers who we didn't talk about, is Devonta Smith. He won the Heisman. He looked great against any team he played, but teams are worried about him being undersized. So, Justin, do you think him being undersized is a concern, for him in the NFL? And how will kind of this affect like his draft position?
I think that's a huge risk.
Mm-hmm.
Size sometimes doesn't matter, and talent will translate regardless. But in college, you can get away with just being athletic, just being fast. In the NFL, everyone's athletic and fast. Everyone is a blue chip athlete. It's going to be a lot harder just to break away on those deep routes and blaze past corners. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. I really like him. I think he's going to be a solid receiver. I just don't know if he's going to do what he did in college at the next level. And I could see him going anywhere from, top 10 to top 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could definitely fall a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that too because he's only 6 foot 170. Like I weigh more than Devonta Smith. Obviously, it's not a good weight. Like obviously Devonta Smith has a lot more muscle than me, and I'm the other thing. But
fat. Yeah, it's just fat.
Thanks for saying it, bud. Yeah. So and Devonta Smith, like he's made it very clear that he wants to go to the Giants. He could go to the Giants. They have the number 11th pick. There are multiple teams that need receivers that are above them, but I think Waddle and Chase are both going to go before Smith does because of his size. But I think he can add on to it. I think he has to be successful in the NFL. I think he's got to add probably 15, 20 pounds of muscle if he's going to do anything in the NFL.
Yeah.
But, looking at his draft report, he has a higher draft prospect grade than Jamarr Chase, which is the crazy thing.
I think that's part of the whole thing. Play last
season. I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
I guess, but
if Jamarr Chase would have put up the numbers Jamarr Chase put up 2 years ago this past college season, he'd have won a Heisman and he'd have been a
I don't know. You know how good Devonta Smith is.
I know Devonta Smith did really, really good this year.
He did really, really good.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been a closer run.
Yeah.
Smith wouldn't have been as big of a, no doubt Heisman.
Yeah, that's a good point. But, I think Devonta Smith is either going to the Giants or the Eagles.
I agree.
I think he's going to drop that low. The Eagles absolutely need a receiver. Oh, God. The Eagles, absolutely need a receiver. They don't take a receiver. They're dumb. They're dumber than the Knicks and the Jets.
The Eagles need a lot of people.
They do, but when you think about it,
Travis Fulgham was their best receiver.
Yeah, and Alshon Jeffrey's gone. Deshaun Jackson's gone. Zach Ertz is really old. They got nobody.
They've got to play the long game now. So they could take it and develop a corner. They could develop a linebacker. I'm not really sure what they're going to do. There's a lot of they need to fill. I think they should go receiver too, but
yeah. Do you see them taking Micah Parsons if he's there?
Maybe. I don't think they'd take him. I think he falls a little bit farther than that, maybe to Oakland at 17, I think, maybe Miami at 19.
Okay.
But I think there's a chance.
Man, that'd be imagine if Jamarr Chase went 6 to Miami and then Parsons went 19.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be insane. But Justin, final question we got for you. as a Patriots fan, what do you think the Patriots will do in this draft?
Dude, I've been reading so many mock drafts, reading draft reports. I have no idea. Belichick drafted a D2 player in the second round last year. You never know that.
Yeah, it's true. He is kind of unpredictable.
I think Micah Parsons could be a good take at 15 if he falls there. I think grabbing whatever top receiver happens to fall there if they're there. I've seen people say that they take corner, and the only way I think they do that is if they trade
Gilmore.
Yeah, Stephen Gilmore. I don't know. I was blanking on that. But, yeah, I think they either have to go receiver or trade up for a quarterback.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I don't see them drafting a corner, and it's a good point that, they would really only do it if they traded Gilmore because they had J.C. Jackson, who had 9 interceptions last year, which is pretty impressive. Obviously, Stephon Gilmore is a known, top 3 corner in the league, great shutdown defender. So I don't think they should go secondary here. I think they have more needs. I think they have more pressing needs than cornerback. It's interesting that you say wide receiver, even though they did sign, 2 receivers over the offseason?
They signed some mid-tier receivers, though.
But one of them was Nelson Aguilar.
Mid-tier receivers, yes.
Nah, come on. I'm just kidding.
I love Nelson Aguilar, but I think they could be looking to lock down a receiver position. Julian Edelman just retired. He was a staple of the Patriots for however many years. He was phenomenal. They don't have a lot of great talent at receiver, so I think you could see him go for one of the bigger names.
But do they have to pick up someone Jewish now, or no?
Preferably, but
to fill in the Jew vacuum that Edelman left, it has to be someone Jewish.
But I feel like no one can replace. I don't know. I feel like Edelman's irreplaceable.
I agree.
He was a 5'8" guy with arguably one of the best beards in the game, and was a 1,000-yard receiver. Well, with an actual quarterback, he was a 1,000-yard receiver. But when you think about the Patriots defensively, they weren't great defensively last year, but they also had Hightower and Patrick Chung hold out for COVID. So they're pretty much their 2 best defensive players besides Gilmore were holding out. So, the numbers are, they look worse than they are. So they'll get both those guys back. But the Patriots, they couldn't get sacks last year. They weren't great at quarterback pressure, and they lost Adam Butler to the Dolphins, who was their second leader in sacks. And even as their second leader in sacks, he only had 4. Their top guy had 5.5. So, they got Matt Judon and Kyle Van Noy, who both had 6 sacks last year. So, they both signed them over the offseason. So, I don't know if that means that they won't take Micah Parsons since they signed both of those guys. I'm not sure. But again, like we said, Micah Parsons, in my opinion, is the best defensive player in this draft. He's a hard talent to pass on, especially at 15. If he drops all the way to 15, it's going to be hard to pass up. And the Patriots, I know he has character issues, but Justin, as you know, the Patriots are usually pretty good with handling guys with character issues.
Yeah, but on the same note, I think to play for the Patriots, you have to be a culture fit. You have to be willing to get yelled at. You have to be willing to take a back seat when your entire life you've been, told that you're a great player. And I don't know if he'd be willing to do that. That's why I'm concerned if he were to go there. I don't know if he'd fit with that.
Yeah, that's true. But you do know if that he doesn't fit, Belichick will get rid of him real quick. And
why risk that if you don't feel he's going to be a fit? And now, I trust Belichick. He's right at this point. So if he were to go with Micah Parsons, I assume they've, interviewed him extensively, done their research. But I just don't know if that's where he's going to fall.
Yeah. Justin, I totally agree. Reading about the Patriots, it's pretty whack. I've seen anything from trading up with the Cowboys to try to pick up Justin Fields to Micah Parsons to even I've seen some offensive line looks, trying to build a line for Cam for this year, that kind of stuff. It's pretty all over the place.
Yeah, people have no idea what the Patriots are going to do. They've said they've been interviewing, and really reviewing the draft process more than they ever have since Belichick got there, which gets me really excited. I don't think they go O-line. I think they have a very well-structured O-line already. But, it's really a crapshoot.
Yeah. Well, so Justin, if the Patriots don't pick a quarterback at 15, which is totally possible, especially if, because it is possible that all the top quarterbacks are gone by the time they pick if they don't trade up. Do you see them trading for Jimmy Garoppolo if they don't pick a quarterback in the first round?
I mean, it's possible. There's a lot of ways they could go. I think if they don't get a quarterback in this draft, that Cam Newton's going to be their guy. And I would love to see maybe them trade up for Trey Lance and have Cam Newton mentor him for a year. I think that would be a phenomenal fit. But there's just so many ways they could go. If they don't get a quarterback in this draft, I do think they trade at some point for at least a fringe starter. But I have no idea. Honestly.
Yeah, because they could trade for Bridgewater too. Because the Panthers seem to be kind of done with him since they got Sam Darnold. I'm not sure if they're going to go for, quarterback competition there. And they also have a high pick, so they could also pick a quarterback at their spot. But I think they'll pick Kyle Pitts if he's there. But, anyway, so, I think – I don't know. It's so tough for the Patriots because they're not going to have to give up a lot to get Jimmy G. And he already knows the system. He is white. So, obviously great fit for the Patriots. He knows the offense. He has weapons this time. And he's gone to the Super Bowl before. Honestly, I think the Patriots have, I wouldn't say as good of a team as that Super Bowl 49ers team, but they're pretty solid.
I think that's better coaching, though.
Yeah.
Maybe not better players, but I think when you work in a Belichick system, you can manage. And something I don't think people talk about enough, Atlanta at 4 could definitely go quarterback.
That is a possibility because I have seen there are more trade rumors for Julio Jones.
Yeah.
So if they get rid of him, that could mean, whole rebuilding system, get rid of Matt Ryan.
Sorry, they just restructured Matt Ryan's deal so they can release him after 2 years.
That's a good point. And I think there would be a lot of teams in the market for Matt Ryan because, like you said, again, he's kind of similar to Mac Jones, and he's a safe pick, fits in with a lot of teams. Matt Ryan's Super Bowl experience, obviously, and I think Matt Ryan, obviously, I don't know his personal views on the Falcons, but if I'm Matt Ryan, I don't see the Falcons going anywhere near the playoffs even in the next couple of years. So, I'm gonna try to get out of there, especially if Julio leaves. I'm done. I'm out. But I don't know. I've seen mock drafts where they take Kyle Pitts, but I feel like 4 is pretty high for him, even with the talent that he is.
Well, Kyle Pitts, I think, potentially could be the second best overall player in this draft. He is a phenomenal athlete, by far the best quarterback, and I think probably the best offensive threat in this draft. I just think there's more pressing needs for the future of Atlanta than.
You think he's more of an offensive threat than Jamarr Chase?
Without a doubt. I think he's a guy you can play at tight end. You can play him as your secondary tight end. You can play him in slot, and you can play him out wide. He's a deep threat. He's a short threat. He's got phenomenal hands. In his entire stint at Georgia, didn't drop a single red zone pass. In the SEC, on one of the best.
That is crazy.
Teams, he's just a phenomenal.
I did not realize that. Yeah, he's a good athlete, and I respect Pitts a lot, but Jamarr Chase, though, he's so good with the deep ball. I feel like he's just more of a threat.
I'm taking Pitts hands down every day. I love Jamarr Chase. I love Waddle.
Yeah.
Pitts is the way to go for me.
So if you're the Bengals, are you taking Pitts over Jamarr Chase?
If I'm the Bengals, you have to go offensive line. If you don't go offensive line, I think you're an idiot. I think there's a 97% chance offensive line.
All right. Yeah. Justin, I'm going to play out a scenario. So what if the Falcons, okay, they're going to trust Matt Ryan for another year. Okay, they're going to go with the Matt Ryan and Julio another year or two. They pick Sewell at 4, which could happen, could totally happen here. The Bengals, offensive line is kind of out of the mix because the next offensive lineman is probably like mid-first round, so it really wouldn't make sense with the talent available. So are you taking Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase at 5?
Again, I think line is too big of a need for Bengals. If soooo were to go at number 4, I think you trade back a couple spots and maybe take a Rashawn Slater or
Wow.
Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. But I don't think Kyle Pitts falls out of the top 6.
I could see that. I could totally see that. I don't think he definitely won't fall out of the top 10. There's no way. There's no way he doesn't fall out of the top 10.
Panthers, but he's just such a good athlete, such a good threat.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, he's a solid blocker. So I think that could kind of meet some need for the Bengals a little bit on the line while also getting, like you said, a freak athlete who is really good in the red zone, which I think the Bengals kind of need because they lost A.J. Green, who was kind of their go. I mean, I know he was injured a lot, but, I mean, he was their, go-to red zone option.
Yeah.
So I think Pitts would be huge for them. I haven't seen a single mock draft where they take Pitts, so I probably don't see them taking him there. But, in this year's NFL draft, anything is going to be possible. It's going to be really exciting.
20 guys, you could really see him go almost anywhere interchangeably. There's a lot of great talent and a lot of needs on a lot of teams. It's really hard to kind of guess.
It really this draft class is loaded. There's so many talented players this year. And Ryan, I didn't have this written down, and I don't know why I didn't, but I feel like we've got to go over it. As you and me are both Steelers fans, obviously. Ryan, we both know that we want the Steelers to pick Najee Harris at 24. We both know that we want that to happen. He's a freak athlete at running back. He can actually catch passes out of the backfield, which we haven't had for like 4 years. We've had the worst rushing offense in the NFL last year. But realistically, that's probably not going to happen. He's probably going to go early second round. So who do you we both know that we want the Steelers to take Najee Harris, but who do you realistically see them taking?
I could see the Steelers picking up an offensive lineman. I feel like they were concerned. We lost Pouncey, we lost Villanueva. That's 2 really big linemen if you lose like that. I think the Steelers. I think Najee Harris will be there, and I'd love that we would take him. But I think the Steelers might be more concerned with the offensive line.
I agree, and Ryan, I think I'm going to scream if they take an edge rusher. I'm going to be really mad if they take an edge rusher. I know we lost Bud Dupree, and he was a great weapon. But, give Highsmith a chance. Yeah. I think we have more pressing needs than edge rushers. I would even be okay with the corner. I really would. Jalen Horrick could drop. Am I thinking of someone else? Caleb Farley, the dude from Virginia. I don't know. There's a guy that was supposed to be a top 10 pick, but he had a major surgery or something, so he's supposed to drop. Caleb Farley. Okay. So
gotta put his lead in.
Yeah, I gotta pop him in. I would be grateful either way if they went offensive line or corner. I just don't want them to pick an edge rusher. Yeah, it's so bad. That's the one thing I don't want them to do. I don't think they'll trade up for Fields, but if he drops,
I can't imagine Fields drops that far.
Well, they would have to probably trade up.
I don't think there's a chance he drops that far. And what the Steelers are picking at 25, something like that.
Yeah, it's right? 24. Yeah, it's it's late first round.
Go Najee Harris. He's running back 1 for me. I think he's as surefire of an athlete as surefire as a running back as you can get in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put him on the Steelers. But other than that, maybe O-line. But if I'm the Steelers, I'm going Najee Harris.
That's what we want.
That's what we're trying to get. That's what we're trying to get. I know. Man, only if we had a Joe Rogan audience could we make a significant influence to the Steelers to pick Najee Harris.
Our views might go up to 13 this week because Justin's on.
Oh, well, I mean, for sure.
Way hotter than we are. So.
Well, that and the episodes are usually better when Justin is on.
Yeah.
To be honest, so.
We make sweet love with our words.
Yeah, we really do. But Justin, thanks again for being on the podcast this week. You know, we love talking football with you. You got some great takes this week. We'll see if Zach Wilson drops. We'll see if the Jets, think the same way that you do. But thanks for being on the podcast again this week.
Absolutely, bro. Thanks for having me. It was great being on.
Anytime. We will see what our teams do in the NFL draft. If the Steelers don't pick Najee Harris, I'll probably be crying in my bed. I probably won't go to my classes on Friday. It'll just be too heavy of a loss for me. But we'll get through it. I think, hopefully. I don't know. I really don't. I'm sorry. I love Benny Snow, but I don't want him to be our starting. It is terrible. But thank you everybody for watching. We'll see what happens in the NFL draft. We will probably put out another episode this week, as this one was purely just the NFL draft, just because there's so much to talk about. So look for another episode later this week, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.